Good evening and welcome. Tonight we will be going over the history and geography of Arima in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, first of all, as you can see here, this region is pretty much just the town of Arima. It is very small compared to the rest of Trinidad. You can see here. You can see these big areas over here, This is just that. So, normally I'd have my atlas out to show you, but it would be impossible to see it on a map. It's not even labeled on my map, so I have the tablet to show you Arima. Geography-wise, not much to say other than the Arima River's over here. Now, a lot of sources I read said that Arima is the indigenous word for water. But I was on this website. Shout out to all the Trinis out there that's made incredible websites about the history of Arima. I owe you so much. This website I read said that it's actually the name, Arima is the name of a plant that grew alongside the river that the indigenous peoples would use as bait in the river. So many sources say Arima means water. Apparently that's not true, but close enough, So the town is named after the river. From what I've seen, the town is somewhat flat, but gets a little bit hillier up here. The most famous hill being Cavalry Hill up here. We'll take a look at it in a minute. Actually, let's take a look at it now. Why not? Cavalry Hill Park and Cannon, because yes, there is. Isn't that pretty? Nice sunset. There is a cannon, an old ancient cannon, which you can sit on it. You can plop your babies on there and take cute pictures of them on the cannon. But anyway, you can see lots of the green out here, but we're not going to talk about that because it's not part of Arima. My fear was when I saw how small this place was, I would, oh darn 'em, the history section's going to be so dry and so boring. It's just going to be this town was established, blah, blah, blah. Not true. Not true. This place has an amazing history, and I'm so excited to tell you about it. Again, shout outs to the Trinis who've made Facebook pages and websites about the history of Arima, because I couldn't find any other sources, even on Wikipedia, Britannica, any of the official ones I go to. It was all you guys out there. You're all the best. So first we're going to talk about a national hero of Trinidad whose name I have no idea how to pronounce, but from what I've read, I believe it's Arima. There's a statue of him over here, but sadly, Arima. Sadly, there's no pictures of it. So if I remember, let's make a note of this. I'll throw up a picture of the statue here, because I can't tap on it to show you. Arima was an indigenous person. When the Spanish arrived and started to attempt to colonize the island, they'd be successful eventually, and their first attempts were a little rocky, because they captured many indigenous peoples here, including this person, Arima, who escaped and led a huge protest revolt movement against the Spanish. I'm trying to read my notes. It's very dark in here. Let me see. At one point, he teamed up with the Dutch, who were also trying to colonize in the area and lead attacks on the Spanish here and also in the mainland of South America, which, if you don't know, Trinidad is just a hop, skip, and a jump from Venezuela, right? I couldn't find any information about what happened to him. I assume very tragically that, he was, something tragic happened to him, I assume. Or maybe not. Maybe he lived the rest of his life up here in the forest in the mountains fighting the Spanish. I do not know. Maybe one of you can fill me in. He also led the largest slave revolt in Trinidad's history in 1699. That's great. That's so cool. That alone would be interesting history, but it gets a little bit more interesting. Not happy history, just interesting. The town of Arima, as we know it today, was founded in 1757 by a group of Capuchin friars, and they built this church right here, the Santa Rosa Church. Very pretty church. Very simple, right? Nothing too extravagant, because, you know, they're friars. All lit up here. Pretty stained glass, too. And of course, this was built to convert the indigenous people here to Catholicism. The church is named after Santa Rosa de Lima, a saint from Peru. But yeah, that's pretty much all the slideshow I have. There's also a neat little park over here, but it's more pictures of the same, and the little statues there in the park are quite nice, but you've already seen them. And so during this time, when the Spanish still controlled the island, whenever there was a corner of the island where there would be unrest from the indigenous peoples, they would be forcibly relocated to Arima. And Arima still has a very large indigenous population to this day. I was reading one of these great websites that said that pretty much everyone in Arima who's like born here has at least some percentage of Carib or another indigenous group's DNA inside of them. The other major news happened in, I'm trying to desperately read my notes here in the dark, 1887, when the residents here, so I should back up a bit. By this point, the British had taken over the island, and it was part of the British Empire, not Spanish anymore. And apparently, a lot of these Spanish buildings that were erected in this town, once the British took over, they destroyed them because they wanted to erase as much Spanish colonialism as possible. Except the church. The church is still there. There it is. So, 1887, when the town of Arima petitioned to Queen Victoria to make it into a royal borough. And that happened. She approved it. It happened on August 1st, 1888. And that's important because the town still celebrates Borough Day every August 1st. Oh, I forgot. I meant to say, I pointed out Santa Rosa de Lima and I got distracted. Because the peoples that live here, the indigenous peoples that live here, are now known as Santa Rosa Amerindians. Because they're all associated with the church, I assume. They have a big festival every year. And lastly, Arima is the home of Lord Kitchener, who's considered the Grand Master of Calypso. So lots of beautiful island music coming out of Trinidad, but Arima in particular is the home of the most famous, greatest Calypso player, entertainer, performer. Let's go with that. The greatest Calypso performer in the Caribbean. So that's pretty neat. What else did I have to show you? I already showed you all the highlights that I was going to show you. I mean, there's also the velodrome. This park here, which the slideshows are pictures of people, not so much the park. The Princess Royale Park has this velodrome here for, I assume, football. They also have a lot of bicycle events here because there's like a big track. It's nice art. But this is where all the big events happen. Cycling happens here. Looks like they've also got an amphitheater right tennis court, basketball court, netball court. What's that? Oh, that's just the park. That's where all the big, exciting events happen. But let me see if there's anything else I wanted to show you. I feel like there was, but I have to be careful that I don't wander out of the city. There we go. Because I've done that before. Oh, I didn't show you the slideshow. Look at this. Interesting. Therapeutic clinic there. Go swim in the pool. I bet it gets very humid here. The slide shows people's home improvements and flowers and wreaths. Some little homes there. Nice flowers. Some root vegetables for sale. Big market here. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, pretty butterfly. Look at this. Do you see the 89 there? Do you see that? My goodness. It's like, I know 1989 is a great album, but that's going a little too far. Butterfly. There's another pretty butterfly. But I think that was pretty much all I had to show you, because unfortunately there are lots of cool little things to look at here, but they either don't have pictures or the pictures aren't of the place, right? So I think I'm going to let it go there, but I do hope that you found this video relaxing and educational. I don't think this really encapsulates how much fun I had researching this place and all the cool stuff I learned about the town and the island of Trinidad in general. So, I want to put that out there. This place is awesome. And I want to thank you for watching, and you're going to want to subscribe now, because next week we're heading to the United States. In fact, next week we're going to spend the whole week in the United States, because we have 2 states of the United States coming up next. You're not going to want to miss out. I have a special surprise for you all too. Be sure to subscribe now, because you don't want to miss out. I hope that you will have a very good